I had a thought this morning about conviction versus certainty. Uh, and it's a deep thought. And whenever I have a deep thought since I was 20, and that's 10 years ago in 2015, I would sit on it, allow it to expand. I'll talk to different people about it, read, write, test that idea, my adjacent thoughts around it in the real world through my actions and so on. And once, if one day I woke up and felt like, okay, this thought it feels like the loop is closed now, and there's a clear start and clear end, and to the point that I can articulate it, I can explain it, I can write it down. When I read it, I understand it, and when I show it to 10 other people, they understand and appreciate it. Then I would go on and write it. This time I thought I would make a video about it. The times have changed, but deep thoughts haven't. So, and I think there are three benefits that I observed when I did that throughout the past 10 years, which makes me want to do it again or continue doing it. When you publish a conclusion or a deep thought, on the one hand, you're becoming a teacher to many other people who may be having a similar thought, but they might be at an earlier point of it, so you can help accelerate their thinking. On the other hand, you expose yourself to people who are ahead of you, who've had that conclusion way before you. So they can be a teacher to you by giving you the next hint, the next question. They're like, hey, you had this conclusion, great. Have you thought of this? What do you think about this? And it can stretch your thinking, it accelerates your thinking. And the third thing is it kind of anchors your decision making. Maybe sometime in the future, you may never know how life may change. You may come to question some of your earlier decisions or thoughts as a younger person. This written or published piece of thought allows you to go back in time and read or listen to your own reasoning and be like, no, I think the thought was sound. The reasoning was sound. Maybe the outcome of the decision was great or terrible, but the decision itself was made well. And for those reasons, I think it's a nice thing to do it. So I do it here. This morning, the thought about conviction and certainty, this is a multi-year thought that I've had, that I have lived it in many different ways. And to me, a thought is not an isolation. It's not just a mere philosophical, intellectual thing that exists in your head. It's something that has to be tested in the world. It's something that has to shape behavior. So this is, I think it's been years in the making and living. So I think I finally have a very strong understanding of it. So I thought I would share it. I'm going to use an analogy, an example for this narrative. Imagine I tell you that if you show up at a specific cafe that I tell you Monday to Friday next week, 5 days in a row, 11 a.m. every day, and order coffee and sit there and drink it slowly, by Friday someone will give you $1 million as a reward. Let's say Mr. Beast is doing it. 100% chance you'll get it. That's certainty. That's certainty. You trust it's going to happen. The actions are given to you. There's nothing uncertain about it. Their instructions are super clear, and the reward is super clear. Everyone will do that. Most people will do that. Conviction, on the other hand, is I tell you that same cafe, there's a billionaire that shows up once in a while at around 11 a.m. People say he's very approachable. He has a history of investing in people who pitch their company to him out of nowhere. And if you just show up every day next week at around 11 a.m., maybe you'll meet him. And if you meet him, maybe he'll be alone. And maybe he'll be in a good mood. And maybe he won't be in a rush. And maybe no one will be interrupting you. And maybe he'll like your business. And maybe he'll offer or commit to investing in your company. That's a lot of maybes, but that's a non-zero chance of success in you getting $1 million investment next week. So 100% chance of getting $1 million versus a non-zero chance. Most people hate anything that says non-zero chance because it's scary, because it requires ignorance. You have to be somewhat ignorant to just show up. And you have to, and another way to look at it is these two, conviction and certainty, impact your behavior in the exact same way. They get you out of the bed in the morning. They give you extreme amount of focus and direction. They make you want to dress up, show up on time, order coffee, be nice to the cashier, be nice, smile at everyone at the cafe. Both of them do that, except conviction needs protection and certainty doesn't. No one's going to challenge you when you say, I'm going to show up 5 days in a row and they're going to give me $1 million. And they told me, and they've done it to other people. And I can sue them if they don't. No one's going to question you. But everyone in the world will challenge you and question you when you say, there's a non-zero chance, if I show up here, maybe I'll show up, maybe he won't show up. There are a lot of people who will be like, do you know? Have you seen him? Do you know anyone? Like, who told you? Like, what if he doesn't show up? What if he doesn't like you? Is your business even good? Why do you need money? And conviction needs protection, because if the person who's trying to show up starts doubting themselves and their own conviction, then there is a 0% chance of success. Whereas certainty will happen whether or not you even believe it. It will happen without you. It will happen to someone else. So it's so easy to pursue certainty, and it's so hard to pursue conviction. And I think really ignorance is at its core. That you have to be somewhat ignorant to do something that has a non-zero chance of success, that you are the one trying to make the chance of success 100%. That on the paper it makes sense. It's not that you're being absolutely ignorant. It's just that you're being, I guess, locally or somewhat ignorant in the moment. You're willing to close your eyes to the immediate reward. So now the question is, how long are you willing to close your eyes to the immediate reward? What is the duration, the strength and the longevity of your conviction? Is it 1 week, like the example I said? Is it 1 month? Is it 1 year? And what determines that length? Like, what determines if someone's willing to take a risk like that, pursue a non-zero chance of success for X period of time? Before going to that, I want to end this part with a quote from one of my favorite books called The Creativity Inc. It's a story of Pixar under Steve Jobs. And the author says, "There's nothing quite like ignorance combined with the driving need to succeed to force rapid learning." We don't hear those two words in one sentence often, ignorance and learning. I'll read that again. There's nothing quite like ignorance combined with the driving need to succeed to force rapid learning. If you're ignorant enough and if you badly want to succeed, that's the recipe for you actually learning and getting things done and getting what you want. I believe in that, and I live a life that is built on top of those principles and those values. And these have been on my mind because most people don't. And it's difficult to pursue conviction and be in proximity of people who are anti-conviction and optimize exclusively for certainty. Part of the protection that I mentioned, that you need to protect your conviction, is surrounding yourself with people who either understand your conviction or don't doubt it. But maybe before going deeper in there, I want to talk about the duration of conviction. Earlier I mentioned what determines if you're going to have conviction for a week, a month, a year, a decade, longer. I think the strength and the longevity of conviction comes directly from the strength and the longevity of your motivation. What motivates you to do something? If you show up 5 days in a row to pitch to a billionaire, and by the way, if you don't like that example, if you hate billionaires, I don't care. Pick an analogy that works for you, honestly. That analogy makes sense for me, and I think it's one that can be understood. So I hope there are no emotions around that term. I don't have any emotions around it. If you showed up 5 days in a row to pitch to a billionaire and the billionaire didn't show up and you stopped showing up, that means your motivation. Assuming someone has told you this person does show up and does invest. It means the motivation about that wasn't strong enough. You had 1 week's worth of motivation for that behavior. It didn't pay off, you stop. Some people, there's probably someone out there who would do it for a month. I'm not saying okay, that example, I don't know if I would do that for a year, but let's just, say that your motivation impacts how long you pursue something. If you're solving a problem, if you're trying to take a big bet, if you're trying to start a company, how long are you going to pursue it? It's proportional to what is your motivation. Is your motivation rooted in a multi-decade pain, in a multi-decade struggle, in a multi-decade broken system or behavior, or no? It is an idea that just occurred to you 2 days ago and you think it's worth it and you'll try it for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. You know what? It's not going as well as you wished and you don't really care that much about it anyway, so you move on. Motivation determines the strength of your conviction, and therefore the stronger your conviction, the bigger the time horizon of that conviction and motivation, the more strongly you need to protect it. In some ways, I'm almost saying the more ignorant you need to be But you also have to have a clear understanding of what would make you believe that you have succeeded or failed, because otherwise it's dangerous. You can become absolutely ignorant, and that's never a good thing. I'm personally motivated by a set of problems that have affected my life very negatively for decades, and they've affected the lives of millions of people like me around the world for decades, and they will continue to. And these are man-made problems. I'm not going to break them down in this video. I'm not going to share about my problem-solving approach and what is the solution and how it ties. I think I've written a lot about those over the past 10 years, but this video is exclusively about the thought around certainty versus conviction. There are problems in the world that don't solve themselves, and usually a multi-decade problem can't be solved with a multi-week solution or a multi-week conviction or effort or motivation. It takes multi-year at least, and usually multi-decade motivation and convictions. I want to close this thought by saying that although I say people with the strongest conviction need to have also a lot of ignorance to be able to actually focus and see it through to see if they're right or wrong about that conviction, but I think on the other side of that ignorance, I see a lot of truthfulness, a lot of truth-seeking, a lot of truth-telling. Because to live in the sort of world that we live in, with all the problems that exist, if the people who live in this world and decide there's no meaningful motivation to be had, there's no meaningful motivation to have, there's no meaningful conviction to pursue, I think those are truly ignorant people. Because any truth-seeking, truth-telling person who lives in this world will see, holy shit, there are a lot of problems to solve. They're not getting solved by themselves. In fact, most institutions and human-made systems and things are making these problems worse. If you live in this world and you see that, the natural response should be to say, I am going to try to solve it at some scale, even though I have a non-zero chance of success. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, truth-seeking people are the ones with biggest convictions, which makes them look like the most ignorant people. And truly ignorant people are the ones who seek safety and certainty, who makes them look very rational. It's a matter of perception of goodness versus the reality of it. It's perceived ignorance versus actual ignorance. And I thought I would put this thought out there